Hi, in this video I'm going to go over a few of the new features in YuME 1.1. So if we just enable YuME and let's build a super simple map, we can demonstrate one of the main new feature. So this is a request for YuME to handle multiple maps. So if we see underneath enable YuME, we now have YuME map data as a selectable map from the list. Now we've only got one map in our scene, so let's add some more. If we click on this plus button, we get a new dialog that comes up. There are a few different things you can do here. You can clone a map, you can create a new map from scratch, and if we create a second one of those, we can delete maps from here as well. So if we go back to YuME, we'll now see in this drop down that we have YuME map data clone, and test2. So if we click on map data clone, it'll look like nothing's changed, but that is because it's an exact copy of the map that we were just making. So if we just add to this, and we now flick back between the original map and the clone map, you can see that we've got a modified version of that map. And this is good if you want to try out different gameplay ideas, or if you're working on a game where you just have multiple smaller maps and you don't want to have to manage those in what would have been a very difficult way. It would have meant renaming this map and then creating a new one and then renaming them back when you wanted to edit them. This feature I think is going to be a real blessing. You can also rename maps. So it's the first map, the exclamation map, first map, this is the second map. And you now see those updated in the scene over here. Now it's really important when you first update to 1.1 that your main map is still called YuME map data, the default name. Otherwise the tool won't find the first map and it's probably going to complain a lot. If you do find that there are problems, you can manage this a little bit yourself. If we go into Inspector and select the YuME map editor object, you'll see now under this YuME map manager script, we've got a map list and we've got 3 entries, and these are obviously the game objects that relate to those maps. So you can go in and kind of massage this yourself if you're finding that there are a few issues initially with getting YuME up and running. It's quite a difficult feature to retrofit because I wanted to make sure that the maps were stored per scene and not per project. I think that would have got very confusing, so it meant modifying this core map editor object and adding this script and adding this list of maps. I've tested trying to upgrade older projects and it seems to be okay, so here's hoping no one runs into any problems with that. But if you do, you can manage it here and add any maps that are missing to this list, and it should update. It might need to restart, but let me know if you have any problems. Like I say, I've tried to make it as safe as possible to upgrade. So the next thing to talk about is, this again was a request to be able to change the height at which the grid moves on when you go up effectively a height layer. So if I move up now, I'm going up a full tile size, which is fine if your tiles are square. So these are 1 by 1 by 1. If your tiles are not square, that's kind of annoying because you have to go to here and press Alt, and that could make the grid go up and down fractionally. But one of the things I've added is this grid layer height scaler. So by default it's 1, which means it will be exactly the same size as your tile set. Now if your tile set was 3 by 3 by 3, it would still move up 3. But the request was for tiles that are 1 by 1 by 0.75 in the height. Now this is effectively a percentage. So if I type in here 0.75, because my tiles are 1, it will automatically go up 0.75 instead of 1. If we look over here, you can see the grid height is now 0.71. If your tiles were 2 by 2 by 2, it would go up 1.5. I don't know if that makes sense. For a lot of people, you maybe don't need this feature, but for those that are using tiles that are not exactly square, I think this will be really useful, and I can see how it would be incredibly annoying to not have this feature in the map editor if you're working with different shape tiles. So let's put that back to 1 for now. Another request was, now I didn't even know you could do this in Unity, but you can move around the scene the same way kind of Unreal does, which is like almost like a first-person shooter WASD controls. Now I've got ASD mapped to shortcuts, so if we go over here we'll find alternative shortcuts. We're going to map ASD to GHJ. If you click on that, ASD no longer do anything, J, H and J do, but that allows you to hold down the right mouse button and use the WASD keys to move around your map. Like I say, I never even knew this was a feature of Unity. I knew this is how Unreal worked, but I can see how it would have been very annoying if this is how you're used to navigating your scene and that was selecting shortcut keys instead. So those are the 3 main features that are added. Like I say, the multiple maps is the biggie. There are a few bug fixes. One of them was it wasn't storing the grid dimensions, so if you'd said you wanted a 100 by 40 grid, when you hit play and you came back, this would have restored to 40. This is now saved in the editor settings, so I'm sure that's going to save quite a bit of annoyance. The other thing was I found while doing this update that Unity was throwing out an error called k valid scene object identifier is equal to res. And I've been looking online to try and find a solution to that, and it turns out it's something to do with static objects, and I'm not quite sure much beyond that because it's very hard to find information. Unity say they fixed it, but obviously not in any version I'm using. But what it meant was every time the brush tile moved, it was spamming the console with this error. So what I've done is, even if your tile set is static, this brush tile, which is never included in the scene, that's not a static object. It is static as soon as you drop something in the scene. The other thing was I've done a lot of bug handling on this tile brush. It was kind of hanging around in scenes where it shouldn't be there. It'd only get deleted when you hit play. I've tidied up the code a hell of a lot on that, and now you should find that it behaves itself a lot better. Other things, with this update, I'm going to update the free version of YuME. That's not been updated for over a year. That was kept at version 1.0. So if you go to the asset store, you'll see comments underneath any asset. And the thing is, as a publisher, we do not get those sent to us. And I don't really check the asset store for my assets that often, but I'd noticed a lot of people complaining that the free version was crashing a lot. I really hope that bringing that up to 1.1 should address most of the issues, since there's been quite a lot of bug fixes in all the version updates since then. The other thing is I'm keeping I've set the new base version of Unity to be 2017. Originally it was on 5.3. That's a little bit old now. If that's a problem for anybody, please let me know. I'm hoping it isn't. I think, with 2018 around the corner, it's probably time to update the base Unity version. Oh, and it's worth mentioning as well that the free version has been updated to 1.1, yes, but obviously the free version does not come with the ability to convert tiles into YuME, and it does not come with the tile importer. It also does not come with a prefab sampler. So I think that's everything. This has been uploaded to Unity already and should hopefully be available within the week. If you have any questions, please jump on the Facebook page and I'm happy to answer them. Until then, catch you later.